Welcome back to the channel, everybody. In this video, we will be doing a trim comparison video on the ND Mazda Miata. As always, I'm going to try and pinpoint which trim type fits your lifestyle, and also what decision gives you the most bang for your buck if you're cheap like me. Now, we will only discuss the trim types on the current generation Mazda Miata, which is the 4th generation. Technically, that's been in production since 2015. And since it is an older generation, you can find some great deals on the used market, which I will detail later in this video. Here are all the trim types for the ND Miata and their MSRP price tag. Now, even though Mazda sells 5 trim types, there's really only 3 that we need to cover in detail because the RF trim types are just the hard tops with an extra additional package of that soft top trim type. So let's get started with the exterior features. If you see green, that means that it's an improvement from the Sport model. So the Sport comes default with LED head and tail lights. Everyone's doing that these days. Daytime running lights, kind of normal these days. And this is 16-inch by 6-inch black alloy wheels, and it has 195 tires on it. Now, the mirrors are also black, and they're not body colored, which you'll see in the Grand Touring. Those are the 5 key features for the exterior. The Club, same taillights, same headlights, same daytime running lights. That doesn't change across any of the models. But the Club does come with slightly bigger wheels, and because they have bigger wheels, you have to have bigger tires. The Grand Touring, this one is the same for number 1 and number 2, but again, it also gets the wider wheels, but not in black. It comes with dark silver, which is supposed to be, that more luxury color. Luxury should be chrome. And then also wider tires because it has a wider wheel. The difference here, though, because it's luxury, is that you're going to get body colored heated side mirrors, which is a nice feature to have. Here's that side-by-side comparison between the Sport, Club, and GT. As you can see, the Sport and Club look almost exactly the same. The only difference is that the wheel on the Club is 1 inch bigger. And then when you look at the GT, it's got chrome wheels, and then also that side mirror is the same paint color as the body color. So those are the exterior features. So when you compare them all side by side, there's really not too much difference, but the Club, in my opinion, does look the best just because of the wheels. The Grand Touring has that nice touch with the mirrors, but other than that, everything's pretty much the same. Now we'll go ahead and go into the color options. Now, unfortunately, the Sport, even though it's the base model, I know people like base models because then you can just upgrade it to however you want, and that's usually a fun thing to do. But Mazda doesn't really make that too good of an option anymore because you only get 2 colors. You get red and you get black. And so if you're the kind of person that likes it in that base model and then just upgrade it, you want your own unique brakes, your own wheels, you want to do everything on your own, your way, kind of hard to do when you only get 2 colors. Now the Club, that's where you get almost all the colors. And it's the only model type, the trim type, that has that deep crystal blue Miata. And then finally the Grand Touring gets everything that the Club has, just not that blue color. So if you see a blue Mazda Miata, you know it has to be the Club trim type. Moving on to the interior features, the Sport comes with just a regular HVAC system, black cloth seats, no heated seats, and then finally the trim around the interior of the door is just black. Now when you move on to the Club, that's where you have gray stitching with your black cloth seats, and you actually also get heated seats in the Club. And then finally, the body color of the exterior is also reflected in the interior of the vehicle. For the Grand Touring, that's when you get automatic climate control system, which I know a lot of people love, and then also you have leather seats this time, which is a nice touch, and you can get that in black or the terracotta Napa color. These are also heated seats, and then the body color around the outside is also matched to the exterior body color trim. Not a lot of difference across the interior features, but again, the ones that matter most to a lot of people are going to be heated seats and also maybe leather seats. And because of that, the Grand Touring captures those features, but it is about $5,000 more than the Sport. But then you have the nice middle ground, which is the Club. Even though that has cloth seats, well, does it really matter when you have a sport vehicle that you're, taking across the back roads? Now here are the interior pictures straight from Mazda's website. The first one is the Sport. As you can see, it's the cloth seats and then everything is black despite the exterior being red. If we quickly compare that to the Club exterior being red, the interior is also red, this time also with gray stitching. If we do a quick back and forth, there's really not too much difference to be made other than that red paneling. Now the Grand Touring, also kind of the same. This time black leather seats, not too many differences, but if you notice near the HVAC vent, that does have some kind of chrome trim on the HVAC vent. but everything else appears to be the same. So even though we are only 3 categories in, I can already see why the Sport isn't something most people will buy. It's only 3 grand cheaper than the Club, but based off of the exterior features, the color options, and now the interior options, just pay the 3 grand, in my opinion. If you can do it, pay the 3 grand. You're getting all this additional features for just 3 more grand. Now for the infotainment features, not a lot to discuss here. The Club and the Grand Touring, you get the Bose audio system, and you also get wireless Apple CarPlay. But when it comes to Android Auto, those will both be wired across all the trim types. Finally, the Grand Touring, you have to have the HomeLink auto dimming mirror. That seems to be standard across the industry these days. If you have a premium trim type, it's going to have the HomeLink auto dimming mirror. Other than that, there's really nothing else to discuss for the infotainment. It's pretty much the same for all of them. Now, finally, let's move on to the performance features. I think this is what most people care about. People that get a Miata, they want the performance. So let's discuss that. The Sport has a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that puts out 181 horsepower. It also gets about 30 miles per gallon if you average the street and the highway driving. Now, the Sport is only manual transmission, and this is what's weird on a sport vehicle. There's no LSD. You have no limited slip differential on a sport model. And then, of course, the suspension system is all independent across all 4 tires. Moving to the Club trim type, again, the powertrain is exactly the same, and so you have the same engine, same outputs. The difference here, though, is that the Club does have your limited slip differential and also sport-tuned suspension system, which, based off of my research online, it's going to be a Bilstein suspension system. Finally, you get one additional package that can come with the Club. That's called the Brembo BBS Recaro package. The Brembo BBS Recaro package comes with the Brembo front brakes that are painted red, and also the default OEM Mazda rear brakes, but those are also painted red to match. Comes with the BBS forged 17-inch aluminum alloy wheels that are painted in that dark gunmetal finish. And then also finally the Recaro seats, which what I read online says the reason why people like these is because they actually have airbags inside of them if you ever get into an accident when you're, driving really fast. Finally, for the Grand Touring, same powertrain, one big difference. The Grand Touring is the only trim type where you can actually get an automatic transmission if you wanted to. Now, because it can get the automatic transmission, that causes some problems. For one, limited slip differential is only offered in a manual transmission, and also they won't give you the sport-tuned Bilstein suspension system if you get the automatic transmission Grand Touring. Those are all the performance features for the Mazda Miata, the key performance features, and I think the Club is already making a really good argument for why this is the best trim type. Now, in the beginning of the video, I said we would discuss the RF Club and the RF Grand Touring. Really, it's the same vehicle. The only difference is now it has the hardtop, and on the RF Club, you have to get the Brembo BBS Recaro package. That explains why it's almost a $40,000 vehicle, because you're getting the hardtop and you have to get the $4,500 performance package in your vehicle. That also explains why the RF Grand Touring is not as expensive as the RF Club, because you don't get that performance package. You're only paying the premium for the hardtop. So to conclude this video, which trim type is right for you? I think the Sport doesn't really have too many buyers. If you look on the used market, there's not a huge inventory, which makes sense. If there's not a lot of people buying it new, then there's not going to be anyone selling it used. And the Sport is really just going after those enthusiasts that want to buy the bare bones Miata and build it up to whatever they want it to be. Other than that, I don't think anyone's buying it. And that's why I think the Club and the Grand Touring are just overall better vehicles, and based on the used market, they have way more inventory, which means more people are buying them. So with the Club, who is that for? Well, if you're the sport enthusiast and you want to drive this around on the weekends, have a lot of fun with it, maybe bring it to the track, you're getting the Club. Now, if you're someone who loves you're like me, you're a commuter, you drive 30 minutes to work, it sucks, and now you're like, you know what, for 33 grand, I can get a really nice interior, comfortable car, and then just drive and have fun during my commuting days. Maybe that's for you, the Grand Touring. Now, what about the RF versions? Well, I don't like soft tops. I like hard tops. So if I were buying a Miata, I would rather look at the RF Club and the RF Grand Touring if I were to buy a Miata. Now, here's one problem with the retractable fastbacks. They're pretty freaking expensive, guys. 35 grand for the Grand Touring and almost 40 grand for the RF Club. That's kind of a premium. I don't know if that's worth doing. But there's one difference. There's one thing that I've noticed with the Miatas that is not necessarily true for a lot of the cars I've covered in the past. It's the used market. You can get a really good deal on some of these Miatas. So let's look at that real quick. So check this out. The RF Grand Touring MSRP is almost 36 grand, but you can find some, here's a 2018 from left to right, 2018, 2020, and then 2022. Everything is under 30 grand. That's a good deal. Now also the RF Club, which is almost $40,000 for MSRP. Now let's look at those prices on the used market, 2018, 2020, and a 2021. You can get one as low as 23 grand, good condition. Look at that red one. It's a 2020 Miata, 10,000 miles, and you can get it for $24,000. This is, I think, what I would do. I wouldn't get a soft top, and I wouldn't buy the RF versions new. I would just get a used RF Club if it were up to me. So again, if you liked the video, comment below how it helped. Thank you for watching. See you next time.